Ladies and gentlemen, what we have seen over the past 2 months is a banking system failing rapidly. But what we have also seen during the current crisis with Russia and Ukraine, with what's going on with all the banks freezing people's accounts, we have seen Bitcoin has risen to the occasion. So in this video, we're going to go over if I have been converted to the Bitcoin religion, if I'm a believer now, and how you need to protect yourselves right now before it's too late, because we're all seeing people, they didn't think that the banks would collapse in Russia and Ukraine. It was too late for them now. So you need to prepare right now before it is too late. So everyone, this is exactly what we're going to cover in today's video. So let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into it. Okay, so first things first, what we need to talk about and what I'm starting to see more and more is I'm starting to see weakness in the banking system. Now, of course, and it's very obvious, it's very bad in Russia right now. We're seeing lots of bank runs like this. Look at this, long lines at Russia's ATM as bank runs begin with more pain to come. And this is exactly why you need to prepare now before it's too late, people. Listen to this. The central bank also introduced some capital controls to limit how much money could leave the country. This is a full-fledged bank run that's already underway. Maximilian Hess, a Russian economy expert and fellow at the Foreign Policy Research Institute, told CNBC. Well, you know what people always say? Oh, that's just Russia and Ukraine. It'll never happen here. Listen to this, everyone. Ukrainians and Russians are packing ATM lines, prompting fears of what happened in the US during the Great Depression. And we also saw huge amounts of bank accounts frozen just for people donating to the trucker convoy in Canada. And maybe you don't agree with the trucker convoy that happened in Canada, but maybe it's just a matter of time before you donate to some political cause that the bank doesn't like. Look at this. Canadian protesters, trucks seized bank accounts frozen over connection to the Freedom Convoy. So what this is all leading to is people finding an alternative place to store their money, store their cash, and get away from the banking system that now has been weaponized and it also has now been politicized. And so what have we seen people do to find alternative ways to send, receive cash, and store the wealth? Well, we've seen the rise of cryptocurrency and specifically Bitcoin. Now, some people may still be unaware that you can actually be a custodian of your Bitcoin. You don't have to leave it on an exchange. You can actually take it, put it in your own private wallet, and you can transfer Bitcoin peer-to-peer with no centralized bank or institution in the middle. Now, I've always known Bitcoin's potential to be able to do this, but I've always wanted to see what will Bitcoin do during a real crisis, and I wanted to see Bitcoin prove itself by doing this on scale. Because what I've done since the 2017 bull run and the 2020 bull run was just buy Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies at the start of the bull run. I've tried to hodl in the 2017 bull run. That didn't work out. And during the 2020 bull run, I dollar cost averaged in around 9,000 and dollar cost averaged out between 50 and 60,000. So I made some handsome profits. But I wasn't really a believer, or I wanted to see Bitcoin prove itself again during a big, huge crisis for me to be a long-term, what you call hodler or diamond hander. So that brings me to today. And there's been some things that I've seen with Bitcoin, some things I've seen with cryptocurrency, some stories I've heard, some videos I've seen, some friends I've actually been able to help, and some viewers of the channel with cryptocurrency. There's been people in Ukraine that have pretty much lost everything. Their bank accounts have been cut off, or they've had limits on the amount of cash they could take out of ATMs. But it's been a donation from a friend or a donation from someone very charitable from overseas to their Bitcoin wallet without any banks in the middle that have literally saved their livelihoods. We're seeing the same thing with Russia because, again, the Russian people, not all of them want this conflict. And they're now having their currency absolutely collapse. And it's not just Russia. We're seeing currencies collapse more and more around the world. Countries like Venezuela, Argentina, but more recently Turkey. And so again, what this is causing is people are losing faith in the banking system. And we've seen absolutely amazing things like this happen. Crypto donations to Ukraine top 52 billion as funds pour in from Bitcoin, Ether, Polkadot, and NFTs. Now, this doesn't mean I'm all of a sudden a believer in every single cryptocurrency or every project or NFTs. I've still got to see which ones are going to really rise and shine in those markets. But what I have seen is specifically Bitcoin and Ethereum have really risen to the occasion here during this crisis. Because what have many people said about Bitcoin? They've said it has no utility. They've said it's worthless. It has no intrinsic value. But I don't know about you, but how valuable would it be to still be able to buy food, petrol, buy things for your family during a domestic conflict? Cryptocurrencies for people in Ukraine and Russia is really a lifeline. So for them, it holds a huge amount of value. And you know what's really worthless? What has no intrinsic value is fiat currencies. All fiat currencies throughout history, guess what? They all have not a 90, not a 95% failure rate, a 100% failure rate. And while I don't know when the dollar will really die, it is only a matter of time before it does, and this is why we're seeing central banks around the world panic to try to create central bank digital currencies. So what I've seen from Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is given people freedom and liberty from the tyrannical banking system. What I've also seen Bitcoin do is a protection against a collapsing currency, like we've seen with the Russian ruble falling 25% in a day. And once you have that private key memorized, that Bitcoin is yours. Nobody owns it. Remember, when you put your cash, your money in the bank account, that is a loan to the bank. That money is no longer yours. Also, real estate. You don't own it. The government owns that real estate. Just don't pay your property taxes for a year or two and see who really owns your house. And with stocks, guess what? It's not really you that owns the stock. It is Seed and Company that owns all the subsidiaries of all US listed stocks. So have I been converted to the Bitcoin religion? Yes. Does this mean I'll pay whatever price and FOMO in right now just after we've had a massive short squeeze? No. What can happen many times with assets or stocks is people become all of a sudden married to an asset, or they fall in love with the asset and they're willing to pay whatever price. Like what we're seeing with investors paying $1,200, $1,300 for Tesla stock, people buying Bitcoin when there was huge amounts of FOMO at $69,000, and what we saw during the housing boom of people paying 10 to 20% above asking price. So what my game plan for Bitcoin is to start dollar cost averaging in once it hits sub 30,000. Now my original plan was 25,000, but with the huge inflows from Russia, Ukraine, and Eastern Europe, I think it may be harder to hit those levels than previously. Now that doesn't mean it won't hit those levels, that just means I'm comfortable with dollar cost averaging sub 30,000. Because if we look at the charts here, it actually did go sub 30,000 on the 19th of the 7th. And guess what? The macroeconomic picture and the situation we're in right now is much worse than then. Now this doesn't mean I'm going to FOMO and go all in Bitcoin. My plan is once it does go sub 30,000 is to start dollar cost averaging in until I deploy 15 to 20% of my cash. This also doesn't mean I all of a sudden hate gold, because some people think you have to either love gold, hate Bitcoin, or love Bitcoin and hate gold. There's times and seasons for both. And if this conflict with Russia and Ukraine leads to a global conflict, creates lots of uncertainty, if things really do hit the fan, that's when we'll see people rush to safe haven assets like gold. And I've already deployed about 15% of my cash into gold, so that is also a hedge in case the Federal Reserve doesn't lift interest rates, starts printing money like crazy, and inflation rises higher. In that case, gold should rise as well. In that scenario, the dollar should fall, and that is bullish for commodities like gold. So everyone, that's my current thoughts on Bitcoins. That's my current plan for investing in Bitcoin. The reason why I have been converted, I have seen some very promising things, what's going on with Bitcoin, especially after seeing what the banks are doing. But what do you think? Are you a believer yet? Let me know. Now, for my loyal viewers and subscribers, if you want to get up to 5 free stocks with Moomoo, I'll put a link in the description. You can get up to 5 free stocks worth all the way up to $3,500 for when you deposit $100. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.